Well, hi, and welcome back to the Be Productive podcast, an exclusive One Thing member podcast. Here we focus on the one thing approach to highlight a different area each week to help transform how you view, set, and achieve your goals. Through our proven approach, we'll guide you through your goals and help you take your big ambitions and break them down into smaller goals and activities. So, with regular adjustments along the way, you can achieve anything that you want to. I'm excited to be joined here today with Chris Dixon, our Director of Operations, Director of Training here at our team, talking about the next 66-day challenge and how you can be setting yourself up to be successful, whether you're starting with us on June 6th or at any point in time in the future. So as we get ready to kick off this next 66-day challenge, we are in fact starting the next one on June 6th. We also have a webinar. If you're listening to this on this Friday, which is June 2nd, then what you're going to find is you have the opportunity to join us on June 5th for a workshop to learn more about how to be more successful inside of your 66-day challenge. So let's assume in this context that you're here. You've decided that a 66-day challenge is the next step for you. You have decided that leveraging discipline in your life to achieve your goals is not a long-term solution that's actually going to deliver the results. And you've decided that you're ready to form a habit. Well, let me take you back to page 57 of The One Thing, where the authors said that just by reading the words discipline and habit is exhausting. But there's good news. The right discipline goes a long way, and habits are only hard in the beginning. So as you go down this 66-day challenge, as you look to form a habit, keep that in mind that habits are hard in the beginning. Over time, they get easier. And so Chris and I are going to talk today about how you can set yourself up to be more successful in the long term. So Chris, in your experience, what are some of the best practices that we can do before we start this 66-day challenge that might set us up for long-term success?
Great question, Mark. I think you want to take a look at your goals. Like, where do you want to end up? Like, what are the goals you set for yourself for the year? And then use those to decide, well, based on that, what are some habits that I may want to form that would help me either evolve who I am as a person or the things that I'm doing so that I'm more equipped to achieve my goal? Or can you boil your goal down perhaps from the year to the month to the week? And you can recognize that there's something if I do repetitively daily, it's really going to help me move towards my goals for the year, for the month, et cetera. So I'd say start with like where you want to end up for the year and what are some things that you need to do every day that could set you up to be the kind of person or to have the kind of behaviors or to hit these milestones that you've set for yourself for the year.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I would add, if there's a goal that you find you have a goal on a professional side of your life and a personal side of your life, and you can see one activity that moves the needle on both, those are some really powerful habits to start to have. And you mentioned going back to the annual goal, and even if you can start to bring some of those long term, those someday goals forward, and see how this activity really does help me become that type of person, you might start experiencing some of the benefits of those long-term goals sooner by executing these habits. Awesome. So what else, Chris?
Yeah, I'd say don't overcomplicate it. And sometimes the answer, or I'd say more often than not, the answer is far simpler and right in front of your face, more in front of your face than you think. It's right there. You know it's there, and don't feel like it needs to be this big transformative thing. It can be something really simple. That it's that tiny 2-inch domino we talk about all the time. It almost feels effortless to do it every day. The the benefit of trying to form the habit is that it doesn't require a ton of discipline over time for you to sustain that small behavior. You're just trying to say, okay, well, like flicking this thing doesn't feel that in like difficult in a given day. What's challenging is like being consistent over time. And so what you're trying to do is form that habit. So I would say don't overthink it. It's generally simpler than you think, and it doesn't have to be this big transformative thing on the surface. It's that behavior over time. It's time on task over time is what you're trying to create, that exponential success.
Yeah, that's awesome. Someone in our foundations workshop recently said, "Is this too small? Have I gone too small in this activity?" And I somewhat chuckled inside, and the answer is no. You really can't go too small. Like, you want it to be simple. You're probably already aware of what that small activity is. give yourself permission to go small. Trust that in time, these dominoes are going to knock down the other dominoes that are larger. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Something came to mind for me just as you were talking, and as I go through my own process about how do I identify a habit I may want to form. And I mentioned the goals. That's like the optimistic, proactive side of here's what I intend to do. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of value at times of thinking about the other side and saying, well, what's the biggest challenge that I might face? Or what's most likely to disrupt me on a weekly basis from being on path to my goals? And maybe there's something there to discover about what habit you want to form and saying, okay, I know like I want to move from here to here in the week and the month, but what's the one thing most likely to get in my way? And if it's something that you can do or change on your end, um, there's perhaps some value in thinking about it that way.
Yeah. Speaking of thinking about things, right? I love this idea as we're getting prepped for the 66-day challenge. I don't know about you, Chris, but I'm the kind of guy who gets somewhat makes an emotional decision on some things, get really excited about something. This is the path forward. I'm just going to jump in with both feet and I'm not going to think about it. And then a week or two later, I've fallen off the wagon, right? And I found one of the things that helps me a lot in this process of getting ready for the 66-day challenge is taking some time to establish the plan, right? We do this exercise inside of our coaching conversations with our members where we'll have them go through and write out that daily plan. Think about where in the day are you going to do this habit? What's the environment that you need to be in order to accomplish the activity? Like, remember from the book, right? We talk about one of the myths of success, the lies between you and productivity, is that willpower is always on will call. So sometimes it's going to be 9 o'clock at night. You're going to be laying in bed and remember, oh crap, I didn't do my habit today, so I need to go get that done real fast. But ideally, we want to set ourselves up for when in the day are we going to do this? Where will I be when I actually execute this activity? And are there some other routines inside of our days that we can leverage to make this more successful? If we already have a morning routine, can you do that habit inside of that morning routine and just add one small step on because you already have established routines that makes it easier to show up to actually do the work? What do you think?
Yeah, man. Well said. There's two things there, right? It's time of day and environment that are so
Mm,
important. And you said time of day, and I've heard some mixed feedback about this. Not that time of day is not important, but when. There's a lot
right.
out there that says, win the morning, win the day. Do your most important work in the mornings, and I think that's true more often than not. But for some
Sure.
people, and I hear this a lot with the creative space, like some people they're like, my creative brain turns on at 8 p.m. So perhaps if there's a habit you're trying to form that just fits better. It's just knowing you and knowing when you're most likely to be successful. But then the second piece is environment. And it's
Mhm.
being in an environment that supports your goals and your habits or sets you up for success. So if you're not in an environment that you're likely to accomplish this habit or to do this habit, then that's something to consider also.
Yeah, that great call out. And we know environment, to your point, is not only just the when, the where, but the who. Who in the
Mm,
environment can support us? So there's the people around us. Newsflash, not everybody is concerned about you achieving your goals. Right. Some people by default have their own project, their own tasks that can detract us from our goals. And so when we're thinking about forming some habits, who are the people that are on our side that want to see us succeed, that we can pull them into this process, whether it's for accountability or it's for them to actually go on the journey with us by them doing a habit as well. And we can have some banter back and forth, some encouragement, maybe a challenge. Like you and I both appreciate the competition because it makes us both better. Like, can you pull some people into your world that actually will support you? I love to leverage my kids for this because I have a hard time letting them down. And if my sons ask me, how did you do that? Did you do the thing today? I want to tell them yes. I hate to tell those boys no and let them think that I'm behind the ball or failing. So, significant other, a coach, key relationships, people that care about you that are going to push you to be better. It's great. And of course, we've got an entire community, right? How can people get involved in the community if they don't have that support network?
absolutely. And also, I mean, maybe there's some tools to consider too. So
Mm-hmm.
resources like the last 66-day challenge that we did. I downloaded a habit tracker, and I was like, oh, it's a little extra accountability. And
Mm-hmm.
can leverage tools and resources to create that, or others, as you just mentioned. But perhaps there's something that you can set as a reminder, leverage your calendar, do something to bring awareness to your habit. There's features out there that you can go and just check the box. Yes, I did it. No, I didn't. And just simply having that might be enough to keep you on track. So I say, don't forget about tools and resources, technology also.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we've got a ton of things that we do inside of our community too. If you don't have a big support network, or you're not used to these tools, or looking for someone to kind of do an accountability partner with, feel free to reach out. I mean, you guys are already in the community as it is, so feel free to reach out. There's a member chat where people are checking in, and there's emails that go out every week to help you kind of stay on the course and maintain success to the process. The last thing, Chris, that I want to talk about is this. We do an exercise around kind of future pacing. We do this a lot with our 411, and we can do the same thing around a 66-day challenge. And when we're talking about rewards, the new habit, what have you found successful around intermittent rewards as you go through a 66-day challenge, or a reward at the end once you've completed the 66-day challenge?
That's interesting. For me, I've the simple competition element of of competing with myself or others is the reward in and of itself. So I like to, I hope this is in line with what you're asking, but I like to include others in the challenge when possible. If there are similar uh, goals associated with them, then it becomes fun. But I like the competition, and for me, going through that and winning, hopefully, but not always. But the that opportunity is rewarding. But I think there's something to be said about checking in along the way to celebrate where you're at, and at least acknowledging the progress that you've made. I like to look at, like, in reflection, I like to go in intervals, maybe every week or so, and just say, like, well, what's showing up for me since I've been doing this habit, and recognize the short gains from whatever it is that you're doing each day.
I think it's knowing yourself, right? Knowing how you're stimulated, how you're encouraged, whether you're the competitive person that loves the good challenge, or you are someone who likes to, you like gifts. So you might buy yourself things. Did I go 15, 24, 21 days in a row without missing a check, missing a day? Is there a reward I can bring myself into? The key is think about the process and set yourself up for success. We're excited about these new habits. We talked about in the last podcast with Brooke about how sometimes that newness wears off. So we want to make sure we take the time, set ourselves up for success before we get into the 66-day challenge, so that way you have lasting success through the 66-day challenge. And by the way, that doesn't always mean you're going to complete it. You might get halfway through and realize, I'm working on the wrong habit, but you have found success along the way. It's that pre-work to make sure that you're setting yourself up to be successful. Chris, thanks for joining us today, man. Really excited to have you here. Always love the conversation and your insights. For the rest of you, thanks for joining us on the Be Productive podcast, where we help you achieve, set, and go work on those big goals that matter to you. Have a fantastic day. Thanks, Chris.
Bye, everybody.